In the quiet moments before her wedding to Prince William, Catherine Middleton held something more precious than any crown jewel. Nestled in her trembling hands was Princess Diana's sapphire engagement ring, its deep blue stone catching the morning light like captured starlight. For a brief moment, she could almost feel the presence of the woman she never met, but whose legacy would forever intertwine with her own destiny. This wasn't just about wearing beautiful jewelry. This was about carrying forward the memory of the people's princess, whose warmth, compassion, and style had captured hearts worldwide. As Catherine slipped the ring onto her finger, she became the keeper of 7 extraordinary pieces that would tell a story of love, loss, remembrance, and hope. What makes these jewelry pieces so special isn't their monetary value, though each is worth millions. It's the invisible threads they weave between past and present, connecting a beloved princess who died too young with a woman who would eventually become the Princess of Wales. Each sapphire, each pearl, each glittering diamond carries whispers of Diana's laughter, her tears, her dreams for her sons, and her hope for their future happiness. From glittering state banquets to intimate family moments, from red carpet appearances to quiet charitable visits, these 7 pieces have witnessed history in the making. They've been present for proposals, weddings, births, and countless moments of joy and sorrow. Now, as they grace Catherine's elegant form, they continue to write new chapters in the ongoing story of the British royal family. This is the remarkable journey of how 7 priceless pieces of jewelry became bridges across time, carrying with them not just beauty and brilliance, but love, memory, and the enduring power of a mother's wish for her children's happiness. Point 7. The story begins in February 1981, when a nervous 19-year-old Diana Spencer found herself in an extraordinary situation. Prince Charles had just proposed, and she was being asked to choose her engagement ring from a selection of precious pieces laid out before her by the royal jewelers. Unlike most royal engagement rings, which are typically commissioned specially, Diana was presented with a catalog of existing pieces, each more stunning than the last. Her choice surprised everyone. While the other options included classic diamond solitaires and traditional designs favored by previous generations of royals, Diana's eyes were drawn to a magnificent oval sapphire surrounded by 14 brilliant diamonds. The ring featured a stunning 12-carat Ceylon sapphire, its deep blue color reminiscent of the evening sky, set in 18-carat white gold and encircled by sparkling diamonds that caught the light like fallen stars. The palace courtiers were taken aback by her selection. This particular ring was actually featured in the Garrett jewelry catalog, meaning that theoretically, anyone with enough money could purchase the same design. For the royal family, who prized exclusivity and tradition above all else, this was highly unusual. Some whispered that it was inappropriate for a future queen to wear something so accessible to the public. The ring cost £37,000, which, while expensive, was actually one of the less costly options presented to Diana. But Diana didn't care about the critics or the raised eyebrows. The ring spoke to her heart in a way that the more traditional options simply didn't. Perhaps it was the vibrant blue that reminded her of her own sparkling eyes, or maybe it was the way the sapphire seemed to hold depths of mystery and promise within its crystalline structure. Whatever drew her to it, the ring became an instant part of her identity, rarely leaving her finger throughout her marriage and even after her divorce from Prince Charles. The sapphire itself held special significance beyond its beauty. Sapphires have long been associated with royalty, wisdom, and divine blessing. In ancient times, they were believed to protect the wearer from harm and attract divine favor. The deep blue color was said to represent loyalty and faithfulness, qualities that Diana would embody throughout her life, even when her marriage faced its most difficult challenges. The stone was also believed to bring clarity of thought and spiritual enlightenment, perhaps prophetically reflecting Diana's own journey toward finding her true purpose as a humanitarian and advocate for those who had no voice. Throughout the 1980s and early 1990s, the ring became one of the most photographed pieces of jewelry in the world. It sparkled on Diana's hand as she waved to crowds from palace balconies, gleamed in the soft light during intimate charity visits, and caught camera flashes at glamorous state dinners. The ring was present for some of the most significant moments in recent royal history, from the announcement of Prince William's birth to the more turbulent times when Diana and Charles's marriage began to fracture under the intense pressure of public scrutiny. Even during her most difficult periods, when her marriage was crumbling and the media scrutiny was at its most intense, Diana continued to wear the ring. It had become more than just a symbol of her marriage. It was a part of her identity, a reminder of the young woman who had stepped into the royal spotlight with such hope and enthusiasm. The ring witnessed her transformation from a shy kindergarten teacher into one of the most beloved public figures of the 20th century. When Diana and Charles divorced in 1996, there were many discussions about what would happen to her jewelry collection. Some pieces would return to the royal vaults, while others would remain with Diana. The engagement ring, however, posed a particular dilemma. Traditionally, engagement rings are returned after a divorce, but this ring had become so associated with Diana's public image that removing it would have felt like erasing a part of history. Diana made the decision to keep the ring, but she rarely wore it during the final year of her life. Instead, it was carefully stored away, along with other precious pieces from her collection. She had begun to speak privately about her hopes for her sons' futures, expressing her wish that they would find happiness and love, and that they would always remember her through the precious things she cherished most. The ring's most poignant chapter began to unfold in the hours after Diana's tragic death in Paris in August 1997. Among the many difficult decisions that had to be made in the aftermath of that devastating night was what to do with Diana's personal effects, particularly her jewelry collection. Prince Charles, despite their difficult relationship, understood the importance of preserving Diana's memory for their sons. He ensured that her most precious pieces, including the famous engagement ring, were carefully secured and stored for William and Harry. For years, the ring remained in a safe, a glittering reminder of a life cut far too short. Both princes were aware of its location and its significance, but neither felt ready to decide its fate. The ring represented not just their mother's marriage, but her public role, her style, her presence in their lives, and the tremendous loss they had suffered. It was both beautiful and heartbreaking, a tangible connection to the woman who had loved them so fiercely, but whom they had lost when they were still so young. The decision about the ring's future came about in an unexpectedly touching way. When Prince William and Prince Harry were older, they were given the opportunity to each choose something special from their mother's collection of personal jewelry. The princes sat together, looking through pieces that held different memories and meanings. Harry initially chose the engagement ring, drawn perhaps by its fame and obvious significance. William selected his mother's gold Cartier watch, a piece that had been less public but held personal meaning for him. However, as time passed and William began to get serious about his relationship with Catherine Middleton, Harry approached his brother with an extraordinary gesture of love and understanding. Recognizing that William would likely be the first to marry and understanding the symbolic importance of their mother's engagement ring, Harry offered to trade his choice for William's watch. It was a moment that perfectly captured the close bond between the brothers and their shared desire to honor their mother's memory in the most meaningful way possible. This selfless act by Prince Harry ensured that when William was ready to propose to Catherine, he would have the perfect symbol of his love and his family's history to offer her. The ring would continue its journey, moving from one love story to another, carrying with it all the hopes, dreams, and blessings of the woman who had first worn it with such joy and optimism. When November 2010 arrived, and William finally proposed to Catherine during their romantic getaway in Kenya, the ring took on new life and new meaning. As Catherine said yes to William's proposal and felt the weight of Diana's ring sliding on her finger, she wasn't just accepting a piece of jewelry. She was accepting a legacy, a responsibility, and a connection to the royal family's past and future that would define the rest of her life. Among the most treasured pieces in Diana's jewelry collection were her magnificent pearl accessories, each one carrying its own story of elegance, tradition, and personal significance. These weren't just beautiful ornaments. They were witnesses to some of the most important moments in recent royal history, and their journey to Catherine represents one of the most touching aspects of how Diana's legacy continues to live on. The first, and perhaps most significant of these pearl pieces, is the stunning four-strand pearl choker that Diana wore to countless state functions and formal events. This magnificent piece, known officially as the Queen Mary Pearl Choker, actually has a history that predates Diana by many decades. Originally belonging to Queen Mary, the choker was inherited by Queen Elizabeth II, who later loaned it to Diana for special occasions. The choker features 4 perfectly matched strands of lustrous pearls, each one carefully selected for its size, shape, and luminous quality. Diana first wore this choker to a state banquet in the 1980s, and it quickly became one of her signature pieces for the most formal royal occasions. The choker had an elegant simplicity that complemented Diana's natural grace, and photographers loved how the pearls caught the light and created a soft, romantic glow around her face. The piece required a special clasp and careful positioning to ensure it sat perfectly against Diana's neck, and her dresser would spend considerable time ensuring every strand lay exactly as it should. What made this choker particularly special was how Diana wore it with such confidence and natural elegance. Pearls can sometimes appear old-fashioned on younger women, but Diana had an innate sense of style that made even the most traditional pieces feel fresh and contemporary. She understood that pearls represented not just luxury, but also purity, wisdom, and feminine strength, qualities that resonated deeply with her own character and public role. The choker was present for some of Diana's most memorable public appearances. It adorned her neck during state visits from foreign dignitaries, glowed softly in the chandelier light of palace ballrooms during formal dinners, and was captured in countless official portraits that would become part of royal history. Each time Diana wore it, she added her own chapter to the choker's already rich story, creating new memories that would be treasured long after her death. When Catherine began making official appearances as Prince William's wife, there was considerable speculation about whether she would wear Diana's jewelry and how she would make it her own. The pearl choker made its first appearance on Catherine at a state banquet in 2017, and the sight of her wearing Diana's beloved piece created an immediate emotional connection for royal watchers around the world. Catherine wore the choker with the same grace and confidence that Diana had shown, but she brought her own contemporary sensibility to the styling, proving that great jewelry transcends individual personalities and eras. The second significant pearl piece that passed from Diana to Catherine is an elegant pair of pearl drop earrings that Diana wore frequently throughout the 1980s and 1990s. These earrings feature large, luminous cultured pearls suspended from diamond tops, creating a classic and timeless design that worked equally well with formal gowns and more casual outfits. Diana loved these earrings because they were versatile enough to wear to both grand state occasions and smaller, more intimate charitable events. The earrings were often Diana's choice for overseas tours, where she needed jewelry that would photograph well in different lighting conditions and cultural settings. The pearl's natural luster and the diamond sparkle ensured that the earrings would look beautiful whether Diana was visiting a hospital in London or attending a formal dinner in a foreign capital. They became part of her diplomatic wardrobe, representing British elegance and sophistication wherever she traveled. Catherine has worn these earrings on numerous occasions since her marriage, often pairing them with outfits that echo Diana's own styling choices while maintaining her own distinct fashion identity. The earrings have appeared at everything from garden parties at Buckingham Palace to official portraits, continuing their role as symbols of royal elegance and continuity. Perhaps the most personally significant pearl piece, however, is a beautiful triple-strand pearl bracelet that Diana wore regularly in more casual settings. Unlike the formal choker or the diplomatic earrings, this bracelet was something Diana chose to wear during her private moments and less formal public appearances. The bracelet features 3 strands of perfectly matched pearls with a simple gold clasp, creating a piece that was elegant enough for public wear but comfortable enough for everyday life. Diana was often photographed wearing this bracelet during her charitable visits to hospitals, schools, and community centers. It became part of her signature look for these more intimate public appearances, where she wanted to appear approachable and relatable rather than distant and formal. The bracelet's modest elegance perfectly captured Diana's ability to balance her royal status with her genuine desire to connect with ordinary people. The bracelet also held special significance because Diana wore it during many of her private moments with William and Harry. Family photographs from the 1980s and 1990s often show Diana wearing the pearl bracelet during holidays, family outings, and casual moments at home. For her sons, seeing the bracelet would have evoked memories not just of their mother's public role, but of the private woman who read them bedtime stories, took them to amusement parks, and tried to give them as normal a childhood as possible despite their extraordinary circumstances. When Catherine began wearing this bracelet, she was continuing a tradition that extended beyond just fashion into the realm of family memory and personal connection. The bracelet has appeared on Catherine's wrist during many of her own charitable visits, particularly those involving children and families, creating a touching parallel with Diana's own humanitarian work. Each of these pearl pieces represents more than just beautiful jewelry. They are physical manifestations of the continuity between Diana's royal legacy and Catherine's own developing role within the royal family. Pearls have traditionally been associated with purity, wisdom, and spiritual transformation, qualities that both women have embodied in their own unique ways. The fact that these pieces have moved so seamlessly from one princess to another speaks to the timeless nature of both their design and the qualities they represent. The care and reverence with which Catherine wears these pearl pieces also demonstrates her deep respect for Diana's memory and her understanding of the responsibility that comes with wearing such historically significant jewelry. She doesn't simply put them on as beautiful accessories. She wears them with an awareness of their history and significance, ensuring that they continue to serve their role as symbols of royal elegance and continuity. The pearl pieces also represent the evolution of royal style across different generations. While Diana wore them in the context of 1980s and 1990s fashion, Catherine has found ways to incorporate them into more contemporary looks, proving that great jewelry design transcends temporal fashion trends. This ability to adapt classic pieces for modern wear ensures that these treasures remain relevant and meaningful rather than becoming museum pieces locked away for public view. Moreover, these pearl pieces serve as a form of nonverbal communication between Catherine and the public, particularly those who remember and love Diana. When Catherine appears wearing Diana's pearl choker or earrings, she is sending a message about continuity, respect for tradition, and the ongoing connection between past and present within the royal family. These pieces help bridge the gap between those who remember Diana's era and those who are discovering the royal family through Catherine's own work and presence. The final 3 pieces of Diana's jewelry legacy that have found their way to Catherine represent perhaps the most deeply personal and symbolically significant items in the collection. Each piece tells its own story of love, duty, tradition, and the complex emotions that come with inheriting not just beautiful objects, but pieces of history that carry the weight of memory and expectation. The most magnificent of these final 3 pieces is the spectacular Cambridge Lover's Knot Tiara, a creation that represents the very pinnacle of royal jewelry craftsmanship and historical significance. This extraordinary piece actually predates Diana by many generations, having been originally commissioned by Queen Mary in 1914 as a copy of a tiara belonging to her grandmother, Princess Augusta of Hesse-Kassel. The tiara features a series of lovers-knot motifs crafted in diamonds, each one supporting a hanging pearl drop that catches and reflects light with every movement of the wearer's head. Queen Mary's decision to create this tiara was itself an act of preserving family history and tradition. The original tiara had been lost to the family through various historical circumstances, but Queen Mary wanted to ensure that this beautiful design would remain part of the royal collection for future generations. The result was a piece that combined historical significance with contemporary craftsmanship, creating something that was both a link to the past and a treasure for the future. When Queen Elizabeth II inherited the tiara, it became part of her extensive collection of state jewelry, worn occasionally for the most formal occasions. However, it was Diana's adoption of this piece that truly brought it to global attention and made it one of the most recognized tiaras in the world. Diana first wore the Cambridge Lovers' knot tiara shortly after her marriage to Prince Charles, and it quickly became one of her preferred pieces for state banquets, formal portraits, and official ceremonies. The tiara seemed perfectly suited to Diana's elegant bearing and natural grace. The Lovers' knot design created a romantic and feminine appearance that complemented her youthful beauty, while the hanging pearls added movement and sparkle that photographers absolutely loved. The piece was substantial enough to convey the dignity and grandeur expected of a future queen, yet it had a delicate beauty that never overwhelmed Diana's natural radiance. However, wearing the tiara was not without its challenges. The piece is notably heavy, weighing several pounds when fully assembled, and the hanging pearl drops required careful movement to prevent them from tangling or creating uncomfortable pressure. Diana sometimes complained that the tiara gave her headaches during long formal events, but she continued to wear it because she understood its importance and because it had become such an integral part of her formal royal image. Throughout the 1980s and early 1990s, the Cambridge Lovers' knot tiara was present for many of the most significant moments in recent royal history. It adorned Diana's head during state visits from world leaders, sparkled under the chandeliers of European palaces during diplomatic visits, and was captured in official portraits that would hang in royal residences for generations to come. Each time Diana wore it, she was adding her own chapter to the tiara's long and distinguished history. When Catherine first wore the Cambridge Lovers' knot tiara at a state banquet in 2015, the sight created an immediate sensation among royal watchers and jewelry enthusiasts around the world. The tiara looked absolutely magnificent on Catherine, and seeing Diana's beloved piece worn by a new generation of royalty was deeply moving for many people who had followed Diana's story. Catherine wore the tiara with evident comfort and confidence, suggesting that she had spent considerable time learning how to manage its weight and movement properly. The second piece in this final trio is Diana's beloved Cartier watch, an elegant gold timepiece that represents perhaps the most personal and intimate item among all the jewelry pieces that have passed to Catherine. Unlike the grand tiaras and formal jewelry that were part of Diana's official royal wardrobe, this watch was something she chose for herself and wore regularly in both public and private settings throughout the later years of her life. The watch is a classic Cartier tank design, featuring a clean rectangular face with Roman numerals and a gold bracelet band. Diana often wore this watch during her charitable activities, where its understated elegance provided the perfect balance between acknowledging her royal status and maintaining an approachable, relatable appearance. The watch appeared on Diana's wrist in countless photographs from her humanitarian work, making it one of the most frequently seen pieces in her jewelry collection. What makes this watch particularly poignant is that it was one of the pieces William initially chose when he and Harry were selecting items from their mother's jewelry collection. The watch represented his mother's everyday presence rather than her formal royal role, making it deeply personal and meaningful to him. When Harry later offered to trade the engagement ring for the watch, William gained not just a magnificent piece for his future proposal, but also this intimate daily reminder of his mother. Catherine now wears Diana's Cartier watch regularly, often pairing it with both casual and more formal outfits. The watch has appeared at everything from royal engagements to private family events, continuing its role as both a practical timepiece and a cherished family heirloom. For Catherine, wearing the watch provides a daily connection to Diana's memory and a tangible reminder of the woman whose son she loves and whose legacy she helps to continue. The third and final piece is an exquisite sapphire and diamond brooch that Diana wore occasionally for special events and formal occasions. This brooch features a magnificent central sapphire surrounded by diamonds in an intricate setting that showcases the exceptional skill of the craftsman who created it. The brooch was not one of Diana's most frequently worn pieces, but when she did choose to wear it, it always created a stunning visual impact. The brooch has particular significance because it demonstrates Diana's sophisticated understanding of how jewelry could be used to enhance and complement her outfits rather than simply display wealth or status. Diana often used brooches strategically, positioning them to draw attention to particularly elegant design details in her clothing or to add a touch of sparkle to more understated outfits. This sapphire and diamond brooch was perfect for these purposes because its size and brilliance made it substantial enough to be noticed without being overwhelming. Catherine has worn this brooch on several notable occasions, including formal state events and ceremonial functions where its elegance and sophistication have added the perfect finishing touch to her carefully chosen outfits. Like Diana before her, Catherine understands how to use the brooch strategically, positioning it to enhance her overall look while paying subtle homage to Diana's own sense of style. What makes all three of these final pieces particularly significant is how they represent different aspects of Diana's complex role and identity. The tiara represents her formal royal duties and her place in the long tradition of British monarchy. The watch represents her personal style and everyday life, the woman behind the royal title who is also a mother, friend, and individual with her own tastes and preferences. The brooch represents her sophisticated understanding of fashion and her ability to use clothing and jewelry as tools for communication and self-expression. Together, these 7 pieces create a comprehensive picture of Diana's style, personality, and legacy. They show her as a young bride, choosing an engagement ring that spoke to her heart rather than following conventional wisdom. They reveal her as a sophisticated woman who understood the power of pearls to convey elegance and femininity. They display her appreciation for historical significance in her choice to embrace traditional pieces like the Cambridge Lovers, not tiara. And they demonstrate her personal style through pieces like the Cartier watch that she chose to wear regularly throughout her daily life. For Catherine, inheriting and wearing these pieces represents both an honor and a responsibility. Each time she appears wearing one of Diana's jewelry pieces, she is making a statement about continuity, respect for tradition, and the ongoing connection between past and present within the royal family. She is also ensuring that Diana's memory and influence continue to be part of the royal story, even as new chapters are written and new traditions are established. The journey of these 7 jewelry pieces from Diana to Catherine also represents something larger about how love, memory, and family bonds transcend individual lives and continue to influence future generations. These pieces have witnessed joy and sorrow, triumph and tragedy, public celebration and private grief. Now, as they begin new chapters with Catherine, they continue to serve their original purposes while taking on new meanings and creating new memories that will themselves become part of their ongoing story.